My heart sank for a second there when I thought it was going to just put us on the screen without that intro. This is Hearts Standard. My name is Craig Cairns, and we are back with another live show. Derek McInnes faced the media ahead of this weekend's match versus Motherwell. This afternoon, we will preview that match and talk about the team news, including the goalkeeper situation, which is a really hot topic at the moment. To do all that, I am joined by the editor of Hearts Standard, Joe Sked. How are you doing, Joe?
Yes, good. Good. I'm just trying to get my angles right, so I've not got my laundry bag in the background. And also noticed that there is, I thought it was like marks on my wallet there, but no, it's I just need to into the corners and dust. My God, boring stuff.
We certainly can't see the marks on the wall. I didn't notice the laundry bag either, otherwise I would have pointed that out. Before we talk about all the things from today's press conference, thanks everybody for joining us. Please get your comments in and we will try to get through as many as possible. Please subscribe if you haven't already. And if you do like what we do, please get over to heartstandard.co.uk or download our app. We believe that is the best way to enjoy our content. But on both that and the website, some of the content is free, and then some of the other stuff you will need a subscription. And right now we're running a deal where you get your first 6 months for £1, or you can take up the offer of 12 months for £12. And everyone who signs up before the end of the month is eligible for our prize draw and can win a 2025-26 home shirt that is signed by the first team. That is also open to current subscribers as well, by the way. T's and C's apply. Heart Standard is brought to you by S1 Jobs. If it's time to hand in your transfer request, then head over to s1jobs.com and upload your CV today. With thousands of jobs across Edinburgh and the surrounding area, you'll find the one, S1 Jobs. Start your search today. Now, Joel, the headline news from this afternoon's press conference and from the week in general, I think, is the news that Liam McFarlane has been recalled from his loan spell at Alloa Athletic after Ryan Fulton was ruled out for up to 4 months. In fact, we will watch a short clip from the press conference before we discuss that. In this upcoming clip from Hearts TV, Derek McInnes speaks about Liam McFarlane, and he is also asked about the possibility of adding another goalkeeper in the transfer market.
Young Liam McFarlane back from Alloa, we called him today, so it's something that we were thinking about. So that kind of settles us down in terms of numbers and options. And as I say, we'll just continue to keep abreast of that situation at the minute and see where we're at.
Are you actively looking at somebody else at the moment?
Yeah, we're looking at, I think it'd be remiss not to at the minute, so we're just having a look. Whether we can land one that we feel can come in, we'll see. But, I think it's, with Ryan's injury, it's probably kind of accelerated that.
Okay, Joe, what are your thoughts on pick out where you want to start from all that. What are your thoughts on the goalkeeper situation at the moment?
Firstly, that whenever we put clips into here, they're always very they're not the best sound quality. I see Pete Robinson said volume turned down on McInnes. Don't know why it is, because it's absolutely fine before we put it in. But hopefully you got to see the gist of, or you heard the gist of what McInnes was saying. Yeah, so I've been aware earlier in the week that we're looking at or potentially looking at the goalkeeper area, and not just potential arrivals, but there's a mention of McFarlane as an option. I know that McFarlane is really highly rated by McInnes and by the club in general. I think they've been really, really happy with his development over the last couple of years. Remember seeing him in the B team, and some of the saves he made were really, really good. But he still was a young keeper, and I think having played in the B team, the Lone League, for a wee while, the next step was to play further up the pyramid and to be tested there. And he's done really well. I mean, you've spoken to a number of people about him, both from his time with East Fife, who helped get into League One, and then his time with Alloa Athletic. And it seems like he's I know it's only been a short time up in Alloa, but each time he's made a step up, it's like he's kicked on. He's made his Scotland international under 21 debut as well, and the report's really good. And it's the fact that I think Hearts could have put him on loan to a full-time team, but they wanted him to go to a part-time team as high up as possible, so they were able to. So McInnes especially was able to see him not day in day out, because he trains a couple of times for Alloa, but 2 or 3 times a week, where he's able to lay his own eyes on him, make his own judgment on him. So he's really impressed, and I think that's really encouraging. At the same time, looking at a potential goalkeeper to come in, we've spoken about it loads over the last year, and I've always felt that the goalkeeper situation was not a huge priority, because the fact that he came into the season with 2 Scotland international goalkeepers. Yes, there's been debates and doubts about both, and then Ryan Fulton is backup, and you just think with that, I just think you needed to concentrate on other areas. But circumstances have changed. Various circumstances. You've got Craig Gordon still having issues with this nerve that was seemed at the time was only going to be a short-term issue, but it's turned into a long-term issue. Timeline on that is unsure. Ryan Fulton has picked up a long-term injury, and then you add in the fact that Zander Clark. I go back to, I think it was in the press conference before Hearts went to Spain, and we asked Derek McInnes about the goalkeeper situation. His view on it was, first in has that opportunity to make the jersey their own. Zander Clark's been first in. Until now, I don't think he's taken that opportunity where you go, he is Hearts number 1, definitely. He has not looked as comfortable as he has in the past. Yes, I do think that there needs to be an awareness that he's missed a lot of football, whether it's been on the bench, where perhaps harshly on the bench, or that he has come back from injury and it's just taken him time to get up and running. Because you have to remember, going back to last season, when we were having one of these many conversations, that there been an element of fans who wanted Zander Clark to come back in, and now there is, I think it's a lot of noise and opinion, and that's absolutely fair that Hearts need to upgrade in that position. And if they are going to sign a goalkeeper between now and the end of the window, it needs to be someone who is going to really challenge Zander Clark or usurp Zander Clark. So it needs to be a goalkeeper who's going to come in and make the team better. If they can't, then I am not against Liam McFarlane really pushing Zander Clark. And if the McInnes goalkeeper or the coaching staff believe that he is a better option, that's encouraging in terms of producing our own talent, but also a massive call to bring in a guy who's been on loan at part-time clubs to come in and take over the position from Zander Clark. I appreciate I have spoken a lot there, so apologies if there's a lot to unpack.
Ian W says McFarlane is so highly rated, has performed extremely well on loan at both moves, and there's now an under-21 internationalist. We were playing Craig Gordon in the first team at this age. That's a good point. Give the guy a chance. Now, what I would add to what Joel has said there, as I sort of search for another clip, is that from what I have seen of him, both through matches I've been to that he's played and clips and highlights and things like that I've watched, is he's certainly not looked out of place anywhere where he's been. I appreciate that a part-time club in League One to a team that wants to be challenger at the top of towards the top of the Scottish Premiership is a huge leap, but he hasn't looked out of place so far. He went in at East Fife and he missed just a few weeks after a red card, and he kept a very experienced goalkeeper out the entire season there. They won promotion. They couldn't speak highly enough of him. They wanted to keep him again for this season. In Alloa, there was a lot of competition for him in Alloa, as you said. Being part-time is one of the reasons he went out there. And he's one of the reasons for their really solid start to this unbeaten start to the season, I believe, until they went to Ibrox there. And the pick of the bunch of performance. This is all from. I'll maybe have to turn
We're going to have many opportunities
the
better than
volume
that. There's
down
a
a wee
great
bit on this one, but you'll be able to see some. The volume's fine on that one, funnily
Yeah,
enough.
I know.
But this is maybe the pick of the bunch of his performances. This was against Stenhousemuir. The goals included in this is all from Alloa TV. The goal he conceded is in this, sorry, but it shows you how unlucky this is here, as it's really not his fault. But yeah, lots of good stops in this game. He's even involved in kind of sparking the move that equalises as well. But you'll see there's lots of, it's quite difficult to tell from the camera angle just how good some of these saves are. But it's certainly the busiest he's been in a game.
Yeah, I got a text message from an associate of ours who was at the game, and he said it was one of the best individual performances he's seen in some time with regard to Liam McFarlane. And you look at him, and he has got the stature for a goalkeeper. He's really agile. He's got a big presence, which is encouraging. I would urge anyone to go on. It should be on the front of this site near the top. Is Craig's chat with Liam McFarlane and Andy Graham. Andy Graham says a lot of really interesting stuff about his kicking. Is that his kicking is it's a strong point where he can play out from the back, but also the fact that his long range kicking is quite accurate, and he gets it into positions that are really dangerous. And now Xander Clark and Craig Gordon, for their time at Hearts, have a number of positives, but kicking is low down on their strengths. So that's something. But again, it's I just find it really interesting, this dynamic, because it's a mix between. It's just a big decision where you've got either go out and sign someone who is ready to come in and be Hearts number one. Do you have faith in Xander Clark kind of longer term to turn round his, again, it's not been the best form, or do you go and just have belief in Liam McFarlane? If the club think he's that good, just go for it. And I go back to what speaking to Craig Levine about Craig Gordon recently. I think anyone of my age, our age, or kind of older will remember that it took a wee bit for Gordon to go in, and Craig Levine said he made the mistake not putting him in sooner, and they went out and signed Tepi Moylan. So that's why he's like, as long as Hearts go out and sign a Tepi Moylan and it's not great. I like the idea of Liam. I know a lot of fans will think just go out and get a number one. I like the idea of potentially Liam McFarlane coming in and really challenging for that number one spot. I was
just going to say, it's kind of, I don't know if it contradicts or is related is the right word for the comment that I was about to bring in from Harry Strutt. Hi guys, will Liam McFarlane go out on loan if we sign a new goalkeeper? I think that's probably the case. I think either it's going to be Liam McFarlane is given a chance to fight it out for the number one at Hearts, or Hearts go out and sign a new goalkeeper. And if that happens, that has to happen in the next couple of weeks, and then after that, the loan window is still open for another 3 or 4 weeks or something like that. And I would expect Liam McFarlane to go out on loan. I don't know if you have any movement on that, Joe.
Yeah, I would think so as well. It's obviously it's not a cooperation loan. Mm-hmm. It was just a normal loan, so it would need to be like a new loan deal. The only thing to consider is that if for whatever reason he played in the next couple of games, that means that if he had to go out on loan again, he could only go out on loan to Alloa. So I would. This is where I feel similar to Adam Forrester. It's not an ideal situation if he comes back and then he's put on loan again. It's not an ideal situation for their development. But that's circumstances that you kind of just do want them to go out on loan and get settled and played. But if he does come back and plays, and play, he will. I'm sure he would absolutely relish that.
Right, I will bring in one more goalkeeper-related comment. You can bring in any others after it if you like. Jerry Gillis is saying, why do we keep extending Harry Stone's contract if he's never going to get his chance? I would say, without knowing too much from the inside about Harry Stone or anything like that, I don't know whether he will ever make it at Hearts. What I would say is goalkeepers can and often do develop a lot later. than outfield players. So that's why he's maybe still around the team, whereas an outfield player of that age would maybe be moved on by now. And yeah, I don't know if you have anything to add to that, Joel. I just feel like he's he's not somebody that, despite he's had a lot of experience over the years at other teams, but he's not somebody that I've seen a lot of either on the flesh or on television in any of the championship games or anything like that.
So he was going back a few years. I think he's a wee bit older than Liam McFarlane, but he was ahead in the pecking order. He was really, I think everyone would be aware that he was really highly rated by Hearts. His loan moves have been up and down, and I think that's what we've seen with Harry Stone. And like you said, he's the goalkeeper. It's like if you still see something in him, keep him and then put him out on loan. That was the idea this summer, but because circumstances have changed, he's not been able to go out on loan. So yeah, it's been a bit difficult for him, but it's just one of these things where it's maybe not quite worked with him at the out on loan.
Any other goalkeeper-related comments you want to bring in? I mean, we're going to move on to the injuries, so even if there are ones, we can go back because there were more in that. As we've already said, there was confirmation of Ryan Fulton's injury and that he will be out for up to 4 months. There was talk about Craig Gordon being on the mend, but still not putting consecutive days together in training, and no timeline, no firm timeline on him, which again feeds into what we're talking about the goalkeeper situation and why there's maybe some movement there and why there has been some movement in the case of bringing Liam McFarlane back. There was more positive news for the likes of Jamie McCart, who I was going to say this in one of our recent videos and then kind of the conversation moved on, but I noticed that one of the things that McInnes said recently that Jamie McCart, I don't know if you picked up on this, Jamie McCart was his best defender in pre-season until he got injured. Did you notice that?
Yes, yeah, he's mentioned that a couple of times, just like how impressed he was with Jamie McCart, which then begs the question, like, what do you do with all these centre-backs?
Yeah, exactly.
What do you do with all these centre-backs?
And Kenny Vargas has got a hip issue, and talk of McCart and Vargas hopefully both making some sort of comeback after the international break. And then finally, some bad news for Finlay Pollock. It was reported during the week, and they still don't know the extent of it, but I can't remember the exact words, but it was like, it doesn't look good for him or something like that. And this is before he's even fully recovered from the injury that ended his season last season with Wraith. Yeah,
it's a really disappointing one for Finlay Pollock. He's just had such a torrid time with injuries. Such a nice guy as well, and he is someone he can add something different in the final third just with his pace. And I know that Derek McInnes wanted to have a good look at him, and it's just that injury at the end of the season is just it's hurt his kind of not hurt his chances, but just hurt his opportunity to really make an impact this pre-season. So yeah, that's a real unfortunate one. So yeah, it just seems to just when you thought he was getting past those injuries issues, they've just kind of cropped back up again. Because at Wraith Rovers, it was a perfect loan because he was getting loads of game time. He was stringing stringing performances together. So yeah, it was when I seen that and heard that, it was felt for him a lot.
Yeah, it's a bit of a sickener, that one, really, because it's just can't seem to get an injury-free run at the moment. And when you're having a setback, it sounds like a major setback when you've not even recovered from one injury. It's quite a blow for the guy. I'm trying to think. Should we move on to
I'll bring in just before we do that, because I know you'll be speaking to Scott tomorrow about Motherwell, so we could, but I will just add. So number of questions, but Alan Kevin says, any news on much needed right back? And these tie together, I think. And Dave123 asked, any updates on outgoings? Really worried with the big squad that will impact us going forwards. And as YouTube Disciple says, we still have time to add more and move others. September 1st is the deadline at 11 p.m, if I remember correctly. So, right back. So there's been inquiries on players, and there's been inquiries for players. Hearts are obviously keen to move a few on to bring the squad, the numbers of the squad down. Obviously, the numbers don't look as bad now because there has been a few injuries, but there's still a desire to move players on between now and the end of the transfer window. With the right back, I still think, as far as I'm aware, there's nothing actively happening, but I do think that if Hearts are able to move players on, then that's an area that they will look to that they could address between now and the end of the window. So I would see how things move over the next kind of 10 days.
Should say Craig Halkett left the field injured after during the game against St Mirren last week, and there will be some things in quotes about that in Heart Standard 10:30. Those quotes are embargoed, but
no, there's nothing about Craig Halkett.
Oh, well, I thought you. All right, okay. When I asked,
no, he said because he was
training
Craig Halkett was. He said he trained today. He was in training, okay. And Derek McInnes said after the St Mirren game he was fine.
All right, okay, sorry. What I was going to say was that the fact that when he was asked about injuries and he didn't mention Halkett was a good sign, kind of off the bat. But yeah, I was going to bring in another clip of Derek McInnes, who was speaking about the change in Motherwell's style. But what I need to do, I think, before we do that again, it was a bit of a new experiment. Need to kind of boost the audio on them. As Joel said, they're fine when we make them and upload them, but then somehow when we broadcast them through this, the volume does go down on them. So we will look into it.
I've got the quotes if you want me to read.
I was going to paraphrase and give the gist of it, so go for that, and I will get a wee sort of graph up.
So a total difference in styles, really. The previous managers at Motherwell was a bit more cagey, 3-5-2. This season really committed to ball possession and committing to that possession-based game. Everybody asked to take the ball in tight areas and bring the opposition onto you. And I think the managers clearly have done some good work in a short period of time. A lot of that has been with a lot of the players who are already in the building, and obviously they brought a few players in to try and help with that. And so you have to see up until now they've done really well. So well aware of the problems we face. I think you need to have to make sure out of possession we're in good shape and good nick and switched on. And in possession we're going to have to make sure we try and exploit any spaces we're given to us and try and be as good as we can be.
I have brought up a StatsBomb radar here, which comes again with the health warning that it's only 2 matches. So much so, the sample size is so small that it doesn't even let you compare these to the league average yet, because it needs to have 600 minutes before it even starts considering averages like that. But just to give you an idea here, I'm going to struggle to read this off the screen now that I've uploaded it. But it shows you that they are league leading in things like high press shots that they get from high press in the opposition. Their goalkeeper pass length is about as short as anybody else in the league, which shows that they pass out from the back. It is a complete departure from not their previous manager as such, but definitely the previous managers before. And just to give you a quick history of Motherwell, they had a manager for, it must have been about 10 games towards the end of last season, wasn't it? Michael Wimmer, who was brought in to implement this kind of style, which the Askew is now implementing, but then kind of abandoned it when he realised towards the end of the season, safety became the the priority, maybe didn't quite have the players to do it, and didn't have any wriggle room to go out and buy players like Askew has in the summer transfer market here. So yeah, and we've seen a little bit of Motherwell ourselves so far this season, Joel, and that style is very pronounced. It's very obvious that they're trying this style, and they did it in the opening game against Rangers, for instance.
Yeah, absolutely. They've watched them a couple of times, and it looks like they've got a real kind of identifiable style of play. And I'm actually encouraged by that, because I think a team that come to Tynecastle and do that, try and play that kind of football, suits Hearts and what we want to try and do. I always think Hearts are most enjoyable to watch or have their best performances at Tynecastle when we don't dominate possession. So when we have like 51% possession, or even like have under 50% possession, and it's more about playing quickly through the pitch rather than keeping the ball and passing it between at the back. So a team that wants to come to Tynecastle and try and play from the back, I think if Hearts are what McInnes wants them to be, and that is in your face, up and at them from the start, then Motherwell are really good opposition for that, and really trying to see if can really show that at the weekend. And it's a different test, but an interesting one.
Yeah, famous last words, but it's a good style for Hearts to come up against at home, rather than
Sorry, you're saying Matt. Yeah, I'm sorry, just say Matt Kale says, plus they're terrible at defending set pieces.
That was one of their strengths last season, was defending and scoring set pieces. And then to bring it back to a little bit what Hearts can do before we finish up, FNDER 407. You don't play a back five just because you have a lot of decent centre backs. It changes the whole approach to a game, which I kind of maybe slightly disagree with. I think a back three gets a bad rap. I think it can be an attacking formation. I think it can be a very progressive formation. It just depends on what else happens, and the opposition and how you approach the game, and if you're hemmed in or not. I mean, it always carries the risk of becoming a back five if you kind of give up a lot of territory and things like that. But I suppose it is an interesting question, a topical question, and one that myself and Scott McIntosh will hopefully discuss a little bit more detail tomorrow. But what are your thoughts on the back three versus the back four going into this game against Motherwell?
I would like to see a back. I'd like to see 4-4-2, and I would like to see, because when McInnes came in, he talked about, especially at Tynecastle, playing wingers and being on the front foot. And I think we'd like to see, I think a lot of Hearts fans would be encouraged to see that. Whether or not McInnes feels that the wingers are ready to go, ready to provide what he wants to provide after coming in. You've seen his comments about after the St Mirren game about having maybe got it the wrong way around and wanting to bring Kizaridis and Kabori off the bench. So yeah, it'll be, I think it would kind of calm some fans or send a positive message if we went and played 4-4-2. But like you, I've got no issue with a back three. I quite like a back three. And for example, if you look at and bringing it back to the right back situation, is I'm not so. It's not like a right back that I think is a priority in that. I think it's someone who is really capable of playing a right wing back, because I think you've got a couple of guys who are pretty solid enough at right back, Borchgrevink, to come back. But if you've got someone who can play as a fullback and also really comfortable as a wing back, you're essentially looking for a right-footed Harry Mill, if possible. But if if you had someone like that, Mill on another side, you've got two attacking wing backs, and then if you're playing a back three, depending on the opposition, but at Tynecastle, you could get away with playing a front three of, for example, Shankland, Kabori, Braga, or Shankland, Braga, Wilson, or rather than going for three centre midfielders at Tynecastle. So it depends on the circumstance, depends on the opposition. But I like the fact that I'm happy with back four, back three. I would just like it to have players who are comfortable in those positions and it's suitable for the game itself, rather than thinking we should play this formation every single game.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be against one of the left-footed wingers being eventually being the right-footed wing back and doing what Danny Armstrong's done for his Kilmarnock team and things like that. But at the same time, I'm not entirely sure he's going to blood in a new winger in a new country in a position like that, rather than in something that's more sort of natural to them. Maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. YouTube Disciple is asking, is Halk's not ruled out due to head-related injury rules? Now, I know that he did take a head knock, but he played on after he got the head knock, and I've
wasn't concussion.
Anything. Okay,
wasn't concussion. It was just drew blood, I think, rather than actually being concussed. And so this other one, by the way, guys, totally off topic, but have Hearts got the Hawk back full time to scare off the Scurries? I'll ask about that on Saturday. But I was looking. I went on
Derek McInnes after the game.
I went on SNS and looked for, because there's pictures of Hawk, and there was one. Certainly, it was there at the end of last season. So, it might still be there. I'll ask the question. I've not seen a Hawk kicking about at Tynecastle this season, but I've not been looking for one.
Yes, we'll try and find that out. Any other business before we wrap up, Joe?
No, don't think so. Just looking forward to Saturday's game, and it's something that I'll probably something we just discussed about San Francisco Jam. We'll read and kick back. You think the sky's falling in, and I do think they try being a Giants fan. That's real torture. Don't get me started on that. Having bought tickets to go to San Francisco to see the Giants, and they're essentially I've essentially bought plane tickets to go and see a team who are essentially playing dead rubbers for the rest of the season. But anyway, I do think that's important. It's something that's going to go up tomorrow, or tomorrow morning. And McInnes' reaction, you'll have seen it watching the broadcast press conference, is that I do think the reaction was maybe over the top on the back of losing to St Mirren on penalties. Yes, it wasn't great, and losing should never be kind of accepted. But I also think there needs to be understanding that we're right at the start of the season, and there's going to be bumps in the road. And it was a bump, but it wasn't like there was nothing there like, oh God, this is a signal disaster. But
yeah, that's exactly been my thoughts throughout it. Please check out heartstandard.co.uk. Like I said earlier on, we're available as an app also. There's plenty of stuff there from the press conference that is either on there or will be going out this evening or over the next couple of days. I will be back tomorrow with Scott McIntosh to preview the match properly this weekend, and we will see you all again